the most important thing you can do is figure out in great detail the service or product offering you're going to provide and why someone would take money out of their pocket and give it to you, because it's just that important. I can't answer that because I don't know what your products or services are. I just don't have an answer. You'll have to figure that out. Here's the challenge, though. If you go to the Small Business Administration website, if you go to the GSA website, if you go to the Veterans Administration website, if you go to SCORE, go to all these different organizations, they actually don't talk to you about that. None of them talk to you about that. They talk about, oh, you can search for contracts on our website right here. Oh, you can, this is how you set up your business organization, or this is how you find a good accountant to get your paperwork done. I mean, it's great. I want to tell you, all that stuff is very important. But it's all just noise if you really can't articulate who your customer is, what their problem is, how you're solving it, and how much they're willing to pay you for it. And getting at least one person somewhere, somehow willing to do it at least once for the first time. Full stop. If you get that right, there is an infinite amount of stuff everywhere else to help you pull the rest of the pieces together. Seriously. And you can just hire, honestly, you can just, if you find a few customers, you can hire a bookkeeper to do most of it. Especially if it's just not your thing. Some people, that paperwork stuff just isn't your thing. That's entirely okay. Don't sweat it. Hire a bookkeeper to do it. Done. Get a lawyer. Done. This is what you have to do. And what I've got like 2 or 3 slides here to talk about what this is. These come out of a presentation I do probably about once a quarter for the service. It's called SCORE, the Service Corps Retired Executives, even though I'm not a retired executive. And my talk is on prototyping. It's on prototyping because one of the things you can do with prototyping is try to figure out, you can use simple prototypes to figure out the answers to these questions. I wanted to show you some of this. Look at this product lifecycle I've got here. Again, these are all this is not my magic information. You can Google product or service lifecycle and pull up an infinite amount of information. And you can see, okay, what's the problem? You can define the problem. And then you have to define it and explain it. And then you have to validate it by talking to people who might have that problem. And then figure out how they're solving it. And I'm not going to read all this to you. But the point is, you need to work through a process, a defined process that goes, I have identified a problem. I think I have a solution. Who would buy it? And I'm going to talk to them. And the more I can show them, the more I can do that, the faster I actually figure out what it is I'm going to offer as a product or service. There are tools that can help you. This is a product discovery canvas. There are 1,000 of these different structures on the internet. So you can use mine, just Google it, service canvas, you'll find a ton of them. This walks you through step by step, the steps that you need to do to really define what it is you're selling. And it doesn't matter whether you're selling it to the government. It doesn't matter if you're selling it to a civilian. Doesn't matter who buys it, who gets it. One of the stories I have from my prototyping class was in one of my very first talks was a woman who wanted to start a restaurant. Restaurants are dangerous. They have high failure rates. They have high CapEx investments up front. You have to sign a long lease to get space. Very dangerous, in my opinion. They have high reward because they can also have very high cash flow and lots of margin. But no, man, dangerous to start. Most fail. So how do you test it? Well, she basically had these homemade tacos. And she's like, I don't know how you prototype tacos. I'm like, oh, I totally know how you prototype tacos. You start selling, go talk to every coffee shop that will talk to you. Will anyone let you put tacos for sale on their menu if you cut them in? And that's what she did. She prototyped her tacos and found that, oh my gosh, I have some that people really like that sell just like that. See, you can prototype and think about any product, any service. And so you look at this thing, your vision statement, what are you building? Do I know my users? Come back to the customers. Again, there's all types of tools around figuring out buyer persona, customer persona. That's great, fun, whatever. Why does this person need your product and what's it worth to them? Answer that question. Go through the rest. My goals, my success measures, timing, product stories. You should be able to tell 3 to 5 interesting stories about your business idea that are worthwhile. Here's a story from Smarter Reality. We worked with a company that had built a really cool medical product that could basically microwave tumors in the body. This is a big deal. It was a cancer killer, no surgery, and doctors didn't like it. The surgeons couldn't use it. Why? What was wrong with it? It's too complex. It had been designed and built by a bunch of electrical engineers, and it was using microwave interference. I mean, it's just like equations to the nth degree. Doctors like, I have no time for equations. I didn't even like math. That's why I became a surgeon. Right? That's what they said. We did product discovery. That's what they told us. I was like, why'd you become a surgeon? Because I was bad at math. I didn't want to do radiology. I'm like, okay, got it. So what did we do? We built for them a prototype that they ultimately deployed that was basically a whole new user interface experience where they could just input the information about the tumor in a mobile app on an Android device that they could hook onto their multi-million-dollar tool, prove that that made sense before they went back and redesigned the tool and sent the tool back through FDA approval. Right? Prototyping. That's a prototyping story. It's also a story about my business, right? It tells you a lot about what we can do, about what we do, right? We're good at working with customers. We're good at hard questions. We're good at talking to your users. We're good at design, all right? I answered all those questions in 3 or 4 sentences. Can you do that with whatever service that you're providing? And my last piece here is around prototyping. I took this directly out of my deck. You need to start having conversations with people about your idea, about your business opportunity. As you do that, you need to start pairing those conversations with pictures, with stories, with 3D printed versions of things. One of the companies we work with was doing 3D printed body armor. Can't talk about what we were doing for them, but 3D printed body armor. They actually had a piece of body armor they could hold up and show people. Fascinating. The thing you should be thinking about doing is, as you work through your product, what can I do to make this real to my customer? Some of it's going to be, I can just explain it to them. But look at my little part on the left side, and I'll send you out this deck. I'm going to have it. If I just talking to like potential clients, what I just need is something, this is high fidelity. I need something really pretty, right? You come see me or someone else, get some concept art. Go on Fiverr, get some concept art on Fiverr, right? Get some concept art from somebody. If you're trying to prove that it'll actually work, well, now you might have to go on Fiverr. You got to test logic. You got to make that thing work. You got to get an engineer to build you a little bit of it. But the key thing is you want to do as much as you can, as cheaply as you can now to start validating it, because the later you find problems, the more expensive they are to fix. Like, let's go back to my colleague who is trying to start the restaurant. After she signs the lease and spends $200,000 on commercial kitchen equipment, you don't want her then to find out that no one wants to buy her tacos. Just that simple, right? Too late. You don't want to do that then. All right, so let's talk a little bit about government contracting, because government contracts is an interesting way to practice a lot of this. It all starts with you figuring out your North American industry classification system code. Why are you doing this? Because all these government contracts are broken up by this code. Now, I'm not going to spend a lot of time diving into the code. You can literally Google that, read through the instructions, watch their video, and identify which one you are. It's not hard. It's not hard at all. And it actually might help you understand a little bit about your business, because when you read the codes, it helps you drive, the codes are fairly fine grained, might help you make choices. Am I in this code or am I in this other code that's very similar? So everything I'm talking about, all this government contracting stuff starts here. Go look at this and just Google the website, take you right to it. So there is a lot of government contracting work out there. And what's important is a ton of it is set aside to small business. Another ton of it is set aside for small business that are owned by veterans. Another set is set aside for veterans that are service disabled. And then there are some set aside for historically disadvantaged business owners. $145.7 billion is a lot of money, and that's an annual number. And there is, and the thing that's really interesting is this, I believe when I did this, this is prime contracts. What I mean is that I believe this is federal government to directly to small business. All the big prime contracts have targets where they are supposed to, it's contractually driven, where like if Lockheed Martin gets a contract, maybe 10% has to, they're supposed to do 10% with small business. The reason it is they're always looking for small business. I'm working with JP Morgan Chase. They have a lot of government contracts. They need a lot of software, and I've been talking to them about coming in, and they really want to work with veteran businesses. DoD contracting, they've been struggling, lots of money going out, but not going to small business. So I'll stop here on this one. If you are in any kind of technology space, there is something called the Small Business Innovation Research component that funds innovative work. It's in all the major, you can see here all the agencies that deal with it. DoD does a lot of it, thousands of new awards. Not all of it requires you to have a lot of tech built already. You can, a lot of it can be done. You can just start with some small feasibility studies measured in the low 5 figures. One of the reasons this is so interesting is if you get funding under this SBIR program, you are forever able to sell to the government that technology sole source. And then if you sell that tech or your business with that tech, that sole source continues with that technology. That creates value for you as a potential exit. Some other things here, you will need to check out sam.gov to get all your government registration, step-by-step walkthrough. If you think you might want to do government contracting, start now. It's not hard. You don't have to, it doesn't obligate you to anything. I don't think it costs any money, but it takes a while to jump through all the hoops and get the approvals. Some other places to look for great, helpful information. The GSA has a ton of good stuff, but my heart is with SCORE. This Service Corps retired executives. They will appoint a mentor for you to help you walk through this. They have an entire vertical focused on veterans, and it's really, really good work. Very helpful. The SBA has a ton of stuff, but you'll notice here, this is what my comment around, they don't think about the product or service offering. It's like plan, launch, manage, and grow. But see, they don't really talk about validating that idea. It's like they presume you already have a good idea. And I think you really need to start one step before a lot of this.